Hello people, it's the Secret Anime Fan here. Today's video is a review, discussion, recap, however you want to name it. Hey, let's go with all three of My Hero Academia Chapter 221. I'm going to be discussing the event, so expect spoilers. There's a lot of S's, hate that S sound. But anyway, this is my first review on My Hero Academia, and since this new arc is so fresh, I'm just going to quickly say my thoughts on it so far. First of all, I think this arc may have the potential to be top 5, if not top 3 of My Hero Academia. Very bold claim as it's only just started. So yeah, that's just my thoughts so far. And sure, it may not be the best overall when things are all wrapped up, but yeah, I think it's going to be a great arc. This whole superpower liberation thing to me is so interesting to me. We've only got started on its development, plus the dynamic between the League of Villains, the heroes, and superpower liberation. I honestly think it's going to be great. Hopefully, it tops the whole Yakuza thing from the whole. I can't remember what arc that's from. We had the Yakuza arc with Eri, the porn girl, which I personally found as a good arc, even if others didn't find it good. But hopefully it gets better development. The group compared to the Yakuza's, this superpower liberation gets better development and a better treatment. Although, as I said, I liked it personally. But anyway, let's move on. This Destro guy seems like he's going to be a great character too. I love his character design. Not too keen on that big old nose though. I'm getting vibes from the Monster anime for some reason. He kind of reminds me of a character from that. Just the character in general. Remember there was a cop character in Monster, and it kind of reminds me of that. The whole kind of evil and detective kind of vibe I get from him. I just can't wait. I love his character design, as I said, and I think it's going to be a great character. All the other members of the group look interesting too, and I have just one more observation I want to make before I start the review. This whole corporation thing of providing support items and what's shadiness behind it is also very interesting. I'm talking about the black market and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know, I just find that factor also very interesting. I think it's going to be a great arc, as I just said. Okay, now that's all over and done with, let's get on to talking about Chapter 221. Okay, let's start things off talking about Giganto Mashira, I think it is. I'm just going to call him Giganto from now on. And he is All For One's secret weapon, retainer, and bodyguard. First of all, I wonder if he ever faced off with All Might. It seems the kind of person All For One would use to keep All Might's power in check, although he does a good job kind of that in a way on his own. They seem to share similar characteristics. I'm talking about All Might and Giganto. They have strength, power, and stamina, although All Might's stamina could be seen as low if you consider his time restraint on his buff form as a stamina problem. Either way, a prime All Might has good stamina, or did have good stamina, after he does like go one end to the city to the other city without a problem. Now, we also learned that he can wield multiple quirks without any modifications, so he shares similarities with Deku on that front. Of course, they're similar but different as well. Now, I wonder if All For One had Giganto in mind for the successor to his power before he met Shigaraki. After all, I think it's mentioned that Giganto was around before All For One met Shigaraki. So maybe Giganto is what Togata was to Deku, and maybe that's why he's so upset, or at least a part of why he is so upset. And let's talk about that. Giganto is freaking out, man. He's clearly unstable, and I must admit it makes me very interested in him. I've watched enough anime to probably guess how things will turn out. He will probably somehow be able to be controlled. Actually, I think it's already revealed he can be controlled. But yeah, he'll be controlled or tamed, and then his personality will turn really friendly and perhaps a little bit goofy. But then his other side pops out here and there. Or maybe not, who knows? Things can get switched up in anime all the time, you know what I mean? So it seems Giganto is really not feeling Shigaraki and the rest of the League of Villains, so he's not, to say he's not impressed is an understatement. He's in complete despair and he's just absolutely wrecking the League of Villains. Why Shigaraki doesn't just vaporize parts of him, I don't know why. Just can't even get close to him. Probably that's the reason, to be fair. And since Giganto is supposed to be a gift, probably plays a part or factor in why Shigaraki doesn't want to just vaporize parts of his bodies because he doesn't want to injure him. It seems All For One hid Giganto so we can carry on his dream and will, and I'm sure he meant the same for Shigaraki, to carry on his will to do the same. which I found an interesting statement. I wonder if there's any other people in the midst that might pop out to carry out this dream of all for one. Maybe the doctor who's mentioned in this chapter also wants to do that. Who knows? Side note, I love Dabby. I think it's cool. Dabby's power so much. Might be one of my favourite villains power-wise in the story. It was also pretty much the only one not to give up, and I like that about him. So in this chapter we find out the way to keep Giganto in check. All you have to do is play a recording of All for One's voice. Okay, let's move on to what is perhaps the most interesting part of the chapter, and that's the introduction of the Doctor that's associated with All for One and the League of Villains. First of all, we see the League of Villains transported to what I can only describe as the Doctor's little den or dungeon. Now, the Doctor used the black liquid quirk to transport them, so does that mean it was the Doctor's original quirk all along, or did All for One just give it to him somehow? I like to think it's his original quirk. Either way, he's seen using it, and I must say it's such a gross quirk. You've got to agree with that in the comment section, surely. So now I'm left wondering, does the Doctor have multiple quirks too, like Giganto? I really need to brush up on All for One's quirk. I've literally only caught up to the manga after like 12 weeks break. I was too busy reading the Kingdom manga. I got to admit, I initially confused who the guy was in the balaclava at first. I thought it was Twice in his human mode attire kind of thing, but then I realised it was Mr. Compressed, so yeah, dirt by me. So we find out the Doctor has been working on Supernomu, and they are a lot slimmer. I wonder just how powerful they will be. Also, the Doc even says they're not perfect yet. So just how powerful will the Nomu become? I wonder. Let me know in the comment section how powerful you think they will become. I reckon they must be a lot faster because they're slimmer, probably less like bulky, and because they're slimmer, they're less clunky and stuff like that. So who knows? I was wondering why the Doctor seems so damn familiar. I was thinking I'd seen his character design before in anime, and then it hit me. Dr. Eggman from Sonic, and my whole childhood briefly flashed before my eyes. I can't be the only one who sees this clear reference, and I'm sure many people have recognised this. His character design almost certainly is inspired by Dr. Eggman, right? Anyway, the Doctor really doesn't want to be seen by the League of Villains, probably trying to run away from copyright. Horikoshi is like, nope, not going to claim copyright on me just yet. Now, there's one point in the chapter that many of you may have glossed over. I kind of did on my first read through. It seems Shigaraki wants the Doctor to copy some of the quirk nullifying bullets for him, and to be honest, I'd completely forgotten about them. So yeah, it was nice to be reminded of them. Now, who originally created them, I wonder? Was it the Doc, and Shigaraki is just asking for more? I'm not 100% sure. If you know, let me know in the comment section. So yeah, that'd be nice to be told if that is correct or not. Now, I just want to quickly talk about a hot topic. Actually, this won't be quick, but anyway, I want to talk about a hot topic. That's observation by the community on the Doc. Many people have been saying he resembles the Doctor seen in chapter 1. That diagnosed Deku as quirkless, and I must admit he does look very similar. But at the same time, his moustache looks different, and they don't look the same height, but the glasses are identical. So who knows, maybe he got smaller with age. That happens a lot in anime, and maybe the moustache has just grown out more. And talking about the Doc, bro, this Doc is a savage, though he's just a savage, man. He's just such a savage. He's just trash talking Shigaraki and calling him and the rest worthless. Saying things like, I can transport you back to Giganto to obliterate you if you break the rules. Absolutely psychomaniac. Props to you if you got that Twitch reference. Now, I'm going to talk about the Doc more in a minute, but I want to point out something I found interesting, and that's Spinner, or the Lizard Boy as I like to call him, his reaction to the Doc calling Shigaraki worthless. It definitely seems to have intrigued him now, and it definitely intrigued me as well. Now, this could be two things, I think. Either Spinner is reacting negatively to this comment and is feeling a bit sorry for Shigaraki, especially since the heated argument in the past chapter, or he's like, yeah, this guy's making a lot of sense. Shigaraki is pretty useless, and he agrees with the Doc, probably hoping he shares similar ideals to him, or with him even. And he thinks that this is the kind of guy he can get along with / follow. Either way, it was a little something I found interesting that Horikoshi added at the end of the chapter, and hopefully he will elaborate on it next chapter, as he wouldn't have just added it for no reason, surely. Okay, now back to the Doctor topic. Seems the Doctor sets up, it may have or may have done, set up potential people for all for one to steal quirks from? Or that would make the most sense. Now here comes the interesting part and the reaching part too, I suppose. What if the Doctor somehow stole Deku's quirk at some point in his childhood, perhaps through All for One directly? Or maybe indirectly, and I must admit it's unlikely. And as I said, he maybe done it through some indirect method using All for One's power, like some kind of machine or something. I like to entertain this idea, even if it seems unlikely, as Horikoshi probably does want Deku to remain being born quirkless, but who knows? Plus, we've already learned that Deku now has the potential to have up to 7 other quirks of the previous users of One for All. So adding in another quirk might be too much, and I think honestly it would probably be too much. Maybe not. At the same time, I don't know. I don't know my full opinion on what that would be if he does decide to do it. But I actually like the idea of him getting his original quirk back if he had one, more than the whole 7 quirk thing. But either way, however the story goes, I'll be content with it. Now I think it's actually been confirmed through the data books that this Doctor is the same person who diagnosed Deku as quirkless. But I haven't fact checked that statement, so yeah, take that as you will. Plus in data books, things can often change as the story progresses, as well as just straight up lead the reader down the garden path, so to speak. Okay, I've just got 2 more things to say, then I'm done. Firstly, if we entertain the idea that in fact the Doctor did steal Deku's original quirk via All for One somehow, could this maybe be the trigger as to why Deku is now able to delve deeper into One for All's power? And I always mix up One for All and All for One. But yeah, maybe that's the reason why he can delve deeper now into his power and eventually master all 7 quirks where previous users couldn't. I think they couldn't master them. I think, as I said, I think the previous users couldn't master all 7 quirks. We know All Might couldn't, or he doesn't. Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure he couldn't, and I think the one before All Might couldn't either. Okay, and lastly, if these 2 Doctors are the same, did the Doctor realise during the sports festival that Deku now has a quirk, and he may have just deduced that he is now the new inheritor of One for All? The Doctor seems like a very intelligent guy, and as I said, if he knew that Deku was once quirkless and now has a quirk that basically resembles All for One, so yeah, he may have just deduced that, and I think that's entirely likely. In my opinion, it's definitely likely if the 2 Doctors are the same. Anyway, that's it for this video. If there's anything I've missed, let me know in the comment section, or if you just want to talk about the chapter, let me know in the comment section as well. What are your thoughts on the Doctor and Giganto? Let me know that as well. I also do anime chapter stories / overviews on my channel if you're interested in that. I'm planning to do theories as well, and at the moment I'm doing One Piece reviews and the Promised Neverland reviews and any other ongoing manga. To be honest, please like and subscribe, and see ya.